idea if this works. I don't know what's going on. Let's see. Does this show that... Oh! Hey, check that out. It's pretty cool. Hi, world. Pretty delayed there. That's neat. New managing moderators can support your channel. Cool. Alright, so I guess that needs to be down here somewhere, right? Because this I don't know what the heck this does. Okay. Nobody's ever gonna join. I have no following. I have no life. Ha ha ha. Anyways, I'm recording this. I'm gonna turn this into a video. I just thought, oh, what the heck? Let's see what happens if I turn on streaming. I have no clue. So, in case you don't know, which obviously you wouldn't. So, I went on eBay, and I ended up getting a computer for basically the cost of shipping. Here it is. Now, what you probably notice is, it's empty. Ain't it pretty? And it's already been painted black. So, that is completely upside down. Yeah, gotta love that name. So, I got this thing. And maybe if somebody joins, I'll go pull up some other stuff that I've got. And if anybody does join and want to see, I'll go pull up some of the other videos and everything. None of that was shared. But what I'm going to do in that system was a... So, here's the front panel. It hasn't been washed yet. But it does need to be washed. So this is a DEC PC 425 SX LP, which sounds great. It's 46, 25 megahertz, 4 meg of RAM. No Maya chip. I don't know what that means. I'm hoping that's not some sort of lockout or something that DEC did to this system. But type 21 HP SVG video F1%. Cool. Well, as you can probably see hinted here, because this hasn't been washed yet, the entire thing had a mouse nest in it. A few days ago, I tore it apart. I washed the motherboard, and the motherboard came out absolutely spotless. I mean, this thing looks brand spanking new. It's part of the motherboard. There's the other half. It's a little scary. Where did I put the other half down? Oh, it's right here. So, there is my 46SX. This seems really cool and all, except that it's 46SX. So here's the point. I can get this thing running, and this was, so the nest was here. And look at this thing, man. This thing came out spotless. The entire inside of the case was covered in mouse poop and pee, and this whole section was just rust. This whole area here and across here was just rust. So I sanded it. I used some some of this Rust-Oleum rust dissolver and washed it and then sanded it and used the rust dissolver and everything until I got rid of 99% of the rust. And then I took it outside and I sprayed it. And you can see here, this is just where the steel is pitted from the rust. That's how bad the rust was. It just completely pitted the steel. So I treated all this and then I had to paint it. You may notice these rivets look brand new. I didn't film, but in order to clean this, because the rust was, these two pieces are separate pieces. You can still see where it's rubbed as I put it back together. See, a little bit has come back up. I may have to touch that up somehow. Between these two pieces was completely rusted. Crusty. I'm talking chips of rust coming off. So I had to drill out all these rivets. I had to take this out. I had to take this out. And so I got to play with the rivet gun for the first time. You can see the case though, really nice. So typically I would try and get something working before going to all that length, but sorry, I'm trying to put this down and it's trying to fall over on me. Oh crud! I knocked a bunch of screws off my desk apparently. There's the third one. There should be one more of those and one of those. Here's a nut. Okay. I've got to find it before I clean this back together. There's that screw, so I'm still missing one of these screws. Oh, there it is. Okay. Cool. So, yeah. So there's nobody watching, but I'm just explaining this in case somebody does jump in, decide to scroll back to the beginning to try and figure out what's going on. Anyhow, what I did was, I took the power supply apart, and I looked at it. And if you look at this thing, it's clean. I mean, I blew some dust out of it because it's a power supply, so of course it was full of dust. But look at those caps, man. Isn't that shocking? So I thought, what the heck? Let's give it a try. All I did was blow the dust out. Oh, I gotta explain to you what's going on with these wires. So these are the wires that were on it. And if you notice, they're eaten. They're chewed through. There were literally mice living in this, and they chewed through all the wire. So I had to cut off all the wires, all the connectors.
Dad! Would you like to share butter noodles with Mom?
No, thank you. And I have kids. So, I took an old power supply that had really bad caps and didn't work at all. and I cut off all the Molex connectors. And so what I've done is I've soldered those in. I cut the wires off inside the power supply, and I've soldered in the new connectors, and I've soldered in the wires from the new power supply. What I still need to do, and this is what I had to wait in the mail for, is these. Woody.
One question.
What?
Well, Mom told me to tell you something.
What?
She made enough for you. She made enough for 2 people.
Okay. I'm good.
Okay.
Tell her thank you.
Okay.
So I went online, and I went through some forums, and I thought, what the heck am I going to do? Because I don't have another AT power supply that's bad. I have 2 other AT power supplies, but they're both perfectly good, and they're working. I don't have any that are bad. Matter of fact, I don't think I've ever come across an AT power supply that didn't work, which is hilarious considering all the ATX power supplies that just have no life in them. The caps just blow out, the caps go bad, and they die. These older ones seem to work great. So I was like, where am I going to get these connectors from? And I went online to try and find some, and I found a forum where somebody was talking about the same problem. There's that, they had a short or something, the ends had melted, so they were trying to find new, just ends. And I thought, oh. And this is what somebody suggested. They said, hey, these things are trash. You can't use them to power a lot of old AT systems, because a lot of ATX power supplies don't have -5, -12 volts. I don't remember which one it is. I don't have one of them. I think it's -12. I think they don't have -12 volts. And most systems don't rely on the -12 volts, so it's fine. But a lot of them do rely on that -12 volts, and so these things don't work. There is a space for a -12 volts in here, but it's not part of the ATX standard. There's a pin for it, but it's not in modern power supplies. And you'll notice when you look at modern power supplies that there's empty pins, just like this has. And these empty pins are for 3.3 volts, which of course the AT supply didn't have 3.3 volts. So I said, get these, they're really cheap, and then just cut them off and solder your wires together. And I thought, that's great. So these are like $5. And what's funny is when I was looking up just the connectors, they were like $5 or $6 too. Why am I gonna sit and crimp all these little wires? I mean, because I would have to take new wire, attach it to this, run it out, then crimp new ends, and then feed it into here. Forget that. This is easier. So what I'm gonna do is cut this off. I'm gonna cut this off here. I'm going to strip all these wires back, and then I'm going to sit here and wire this thing up. That's the goal. Something I've discovered. The old blue is the modern yellow. So on this power supply, 12 volts is blue. what I did, so I took because there's two pieces here. This comes in two parts. I took them and separated them when I took it apart. See, I put a little zip tie on here. So I know this is this connector. These are the wires to this connector. And then the ones that I've already stripped back on here are the wires for this connector. So, actually, if I'm smart, what I'll do is I'll just start with that. Now, where are my snips? I have 200 tools surrounding me at all times. I can never find anything because I just put it down wherever I am. Terrible with that. So I'm wondering, do I leave myself some room in case I ever want to reuse this connector? Or I snip them off flush and throw this away? Well, let's look at something real quick. How long are these? Oh wow. So that's where I cut them off. So even if I cut them off here, I still have longer connectors than. So yeah, I can leave myself plenty of room. I actually should be cutting them like up here somewhere. So let's cut them down here. That'll actually work great. So there's that. That'll go on my parts bin. So something I didn't say was I cut off the wires. That's where I was going. I cut off all these wires. And then I traced stuff. I traced where the wires connected on the back of the board. So you see these planes. So this plane over here. I looked at what wires were coming here and then figured out what the voltage was, and I did the same thing here and here, and I mapped all this out. So I was able to plug it in and then use my voltmeter to check, and yes, I have marker on the back of my hand, to check if the voltages were good, and they all look spot on. So I'm really excited to try this. And I did all that before I decided to go any further. So considering how incredibly clean this looks, and I figured it was worth a shot. I could. So let's start stripping. There's that one. I know. Anybody watching this is going to yell at me for how I'm about to connect these together. I don't care. I'm going to connect these together the same way I have always connected wires together. And if you look over here on my bench, I have some more crazy connectors. I have a ton of different connectors, and I hate all of them. Now, to be fair, they probably work fine with this 18 gauge wire. So I could probably use these red ones. So I can probably use these, and they would probably work fine. I find it a pain in the rear end, especially when you have a whole bunch that are real close together like this. I've just never really liked these. These are crimp and solder. Or crimp and heat, I mean. I've seen some other styles. I don't know. I'm old school. Hey, bud. Hey, bud. My dog's sitting on the floor next to me. Hey, bud. How's it going? Oh, before I get started on that, let me do this. I always forget. I always do one or two and then I forget, but I'm remembering. I need to get some more of this. Yeah, so I still gotta clean this up. You see that's still got a little bit of corrosion on it. But the rest of this is in pretty good shape. So this power supply is... Did it say the output on there? 5 volts, 145.5 watts. There you go. Yeah, it's in my chair weird. So, anyways. So, how many wires do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I need like 12 of these. Great. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I need new snips. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I definitely need new snips. So yeah, I do dancing Christmas lights. And you have to solder a lot of wire. This stuff is actually terrible for what I'm using it for. I could actually get such cheaper stuff for what I'm using it for here. But this is actually insulated with water proof stuff in it. doesn't just insulate the wire. It's got a, I don't even know if you can see it in the camera. Probably not. But it's got like a, you can kind of see a little bit of glimmer on the edge there. So it's actually got a stuff in it for sealing it so water can't get in there. And it also protects from UV and all that mess. So let me put these on first, and we'll start soldering. Here, this is how I do this. See? I love this camera. If I don't just sit and do this. What's up, Bob? What's up? How did you get down here? How did you get down here? Hey! What are you yelling about? Why are you yelling? Who are you yelling at? Nope. Who are you yelling at? Hey! Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come over here. Come here. Come on. Hey. What's going on? You just trying to get attention? Oh, you can see my belly button. Alright. You just trying to get attention? What do I purple as copper? What is purple? Is that one? Where's the other one? That's gonna be white. I wonder what that white one is. Is that the good sync button or whatever? Good power. One of them is good power. guess if I'm streaming, y'all should see what I'm doing. Alright, there we go. If I don't do that now, I'm going to forget to do it later. Alright, so what I gotta do is verify. Black, black, gray, red, red, red. Okay. What I'm verifying is that none of the colors are different. So I'm looking at the old one. Looking at the new one. Black, black, gray, red, red, red. Black, black, gray, red, red, red. Get this gray one out of the way. Alright. So you know what I really need? Because I do a lot of this. Really need a fume extractor. What? What? Where are you going, Bob? Yeah, it's funny, I've been in this house 4 years. And he only just started coming down to the basement this week. He's blind, so he doesn't like. is not a huge fan of recluses. Alright, we're gonna get this one on. Ooh. Don't do that. Bad idea. The only downside to doing this that I already foresee is I gotta figure out how I'm gonna get all this, which is now 3 times as thick, through there. Why is this thing giving me so much trouble? There we go. Alright. Are these the prettiest solders in the world? Absolutely not, by a long shot. Let me tell you. I've been doing this sort of thing for years. this is how I've been doing it. And this works for me. And the catch is, right, like, you can say, oh, there's better methods for doing that. But this is how I know how to do it. And it works. Finally up the temperature. I don't need this real hot. I don't have it set real hot. Because all I'm trying to do is not block capacitors while I'm putting on heat shrink. Could you imagine all the effort that goes into heat shrinking this, and then I turn my heat gun on too high, leave it sitting too long near a capacitor, and blow the capacitor up. Man, I would hate myself. You can kind of see it as they shrink. If you watch this one, I don't know if you can see it. Kind of see it as it shrinks, maybe. No, you can't see it on camera. There's like this glue that oozes out. Alright. Here's one. Alright. Now what I gotta do? I got one left. Alright. One connector left. Alright, I gotta strip all these. And what easier is just doing this. Yeah, I tried to leave these as long as I could. The problem is a lot of them were eaten right to the edge of there. So, there wasn't any type of like, oh, let me leave a couple inches on the outside. No, I had stripped a few of them back into here. So, should be the last wire I have to strip. Let's give all this a check. I have a love-hate relationship with this thing. So one, it is fantastic, but it's not the really fancy one. You can see it's got different size holes depending on what you're stripping. So when you put the wire in, you still gotta line it up to the right size. what I do like about it is it strips as clean as a regular stripper. And I do find it easier to use than a typical stripper. Okay, so that one's done. Alright, here's the last one. So, what colors changes do we have here? So we got black, black. That's cool. Red to blue. Or no, yellow to blue. Wait, where's the yellow wire? Okay, this is what's gonna trip me up. And blue wire. Okay, this blue wire needs to go to that yellow wire. And this yellow wire needs to go to that blue wire. And then red, and then this purple wire needs to go to that white wire. Yeah. Love it when color codes change. But let me get these out of the way. I think I'm being summoned, so I think I gotta stop. Alright, I'll get this when I come back. If anybody watches this, have a good one.